Today I want to invite you to begin just by being aware of your breath. It's something very simple. Just be aware for a moment as you breathe in and you feel the coolness of the air coming through your nose and filling your lungs and expanding your diaphragm. And as you exhale, be aware of that sensation of letting go, of just letting it all out. And then you breathe in again and breathe out. Our breathing is something we do countless times a day. And our breathing is very important for us. It's what keeps us alive. It's very much the source of our life. It nourishes every part of our body. We know that. And that understanding was very important for the ancients. So much so that they use concepts of life and breath and spirit as the foundation for ancient spirituality. For instance, you may know that in the Judeo-Christian tradition, in the book of beginnings, the book of Genesis, the second creation account that's recorded in that book talks about God forming humanity out of the clay of the earth and then breathing in the breath of life. The word that's used is ruah. Ruah is the breath of life, and it's also spirit, and it's what animates us. We find this same concept in Swahili. I won't pronounce it correctly, but it's pumzi ya uhai. And that's also the breath of life, the animating force. In Sanskrit, it's Atman. In Chinese, it's Qi. And all of these concepts convey that there's energy in breath, in life, that's unitive for us, that draws us together, that's the source of who we are. And I think often we miss that. And we primarily miss that, I think, because of growing up in Western cultures. We've been taught that spirituality is about something out there. It's about our belief, which is cognitive. It's about God. It's about angels. It's about spirits. And we miss the root that the ancients understood, that our spirit, our human spirit, our soul, is related to our breath. It's that animating principle of our life. And that's what's foundational for us. And that's why many spiritual teachers, including me, when we begin teaching about prayer or meditation or other practices, we begin with a focus on breathing, to be aware of each breath as we begin that process of meditation, of prayer, of whatever the practice may be. You know, that external piece is important too. I don't want to entirely dismiss that. But I think the first movement is that inner, that immanent, that indwelling awareness. And we find that connection in our breath. But that outer, that transcendent dimension that evokes something more from us, that calls us out in some way, that awakens in us a sense of looking up and finding more, that's also important. And the immanent and the transcendent work hand in hand together. That transcendent may be found in very simple ways. For instance, I've often talked about how my morning prayer and meditation happens in my study. It's the front room of my home, which faces east. And each morning the sun comes over the horizon, and as it brings light into my neighborhood, it illuminates that room, and I experience that new sunrise, that new sun of the day. And it fills me with a sense of awareness and hope and of beginning again. And that's an important transcendent dimension for me. We find those transcendent connections in nature, in beauty, in music, in art, in religious ritual, in familiar prayers, in so many different ways. And it's somewhat unique for each of us. But that transcendent dimension evokes something more from us. And it also connects with our spirit. So it's both that immanent, that inner spirit, that human spirit, connecting with something transcendent that inspires and calls us out. When those two things connect, when there's a sense of connection, of union with the immanent and the transcendent. That's when some spiritual writers will talk about there being an alignment, or there being a balance, or there being a resonance, because there's this sense that that energy within us is connecting with an energy outside of us, that our soul is connecting with the divine spirit. Whatever metaphor works for you, put that in here. But those dynamics, that immanent and transcendent, are really the foundation for the spiritual dimension of life. And nurturing those things are what nurturing our spiritual lives are about. So breathe, be aware of your breath, and also pay attention to what it is that inspires you and draws you out. And find the connections between those two. And it's in doing so that you'll continue to develop and strengthen and enliven the spiritual dimension of your life, which will in turn enliven every other dimension of your life. Subscribe to this channel, like the video, share it, leave me some comments, and know that I appreciate the time you spend with Spirituality Beyond Borders. Have a really great day.